Hello and welcome to part 2 of my February and March of 2020 Blu-ray collection update. If you haven't seen part 1, you really want to go check that one out because it's a killer update. I mean, just one of the best things I've ever done, I think. And this one's going to be no different. This is going to blow your mind. Who am I kidding? It's just me sat in front of a camera talking shit about Blu-rays for 30 or more minutes. So the first part was insanely overlong, and this one's probably going to be no different. I have a lot of titles to talk about. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Probably should have counted before the video. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So even more than the previous parts. So I have kind of two stacks in order of importance. So the first one I'm going to get through is the HMV sales stuff. They've been clearing out things for quite a while now, and they got in kind of a new batch of different stock. So I grabbed quite a few things, and the first one is a movie that I grew up with, and we watched this a couple of nights ago. I'm getting better. I'm getting better at actually buying Blu-rays and then watching them. I mean, the conquering my collection thing is kind of coming into play a little bit, not as much as I would like, but you know, it's the collector's struggle of buying all these things when they go on sale and then actually finding the time to sit down and watch them is a struggle. It is what it is. It's not a great struggle, you know. There are better. No, there are worse struggles out there in the world. But you know, in the bubble of being a Blu-ray collector, watching everything you own can sometimes be fairly tricky. Anyway, enough rambling. Get on with the fucking films, Luke. Jesus Christ. Get Shorty. This is a film directed by Barry Sonnenfeld. Is it Sonnenfeld? Or yes, I believe did the first Men in Black movie, right? Or at least even the first two, I think. I don't know. Anyway, Barry Sonnenfeld directed, and this is based on a Elmore Leonard novel. So 2 years before, is it 1995? I'm fairly certain. Yes. 2 years before Quentin Tarantino did Jackie Brown, which is also based on an Elmore Leonard book. This film was made, Get Shorty. This is kind of a mobster movie with John Travolta, Danny DeVito, Gene Hackman, Rene Russo, James Gandolfini with long hair and a ponytail, who plays a very funny stuntman character. How do I describe this film if you haven't seen it? John Travolta plays Chili Palmer, who is this loan shark in Miami, who is chasing up some things here and there. He needs to collect this money from a guy who goes to Vegas and then goes to Los Angeles. And when he gets to LA, he meets Gene Hackman, who is Harry Zim. I believe it's Harry Zim. Yes, Harry Zim is this movie director in Hollywood who makes just B-movie schlock, basically. But he has a script that's very good, and he's trying to buy the rights to it. And once he buys the rights to it, he's going to get Martin Weir involved, who is played by Danny DeVito, who is like the big actor in Hollywood at that point in time. And so getting Martin Weir involved in this film is going to be like, you know, it's going to really get things going for Harry Zim. He has a kind of on and off relationship with Rene Russo, who is an actress, and she's starred in many of these B movies. And she has a previous relationship with Martin Weir, so she has an in to speaking to Danny DeVito's character. John Travolta's character, Chili Palmer, gets involved with Harry Zim and is a big fan of movies. Chili Palmer loves movies. He wants to transition from the loan shark business to the movie business. He wants to become a producer. And he has an idea for a film, which is basically just what he's doing at that point in time, chasing down this fucking idiot from Miami to Las Vegas into LA. And he kind of works it into a movie plot, and he's trying to get that movie made. And there's all sorts of crossed wires going on. There's all sorts of conflicting interests. There's like this $500,000 at an airport locker. There's money at play. There's movies at play. It's a film about the movies, and John Travolta's kind of enthusiasm for movies in the film is really kind of infectious, I think, and intoxicating at times. The scene when he's sat in a cinema watching Touch of Evil, and he's mouthing all the lines and stuff. Really great scene. It's a really fun film. It absolutely feels Tarantino light. There is a bounciness to it that feels very much informed by Pulp Fiction, which came out the year before. There's no denying that. But, you know, it also feels very similar to Jackie Brown before Jackie Brown was even made. So I think the Elmore Leonard kind of style suited Tarantino's style of filmmaking like a glove. And so I think you're seeing a little bit of copycatness from Pulp Fiction and Reservoir Dogs here, but also you're just seeing I think, a faithfulness to the Elmore Leonard source material. At least that's what I'm assuming, because it just seems to stand to reason. It just seems to be logically the way that it went. I think that it has a little bit of the Tarantino influence. You know, they got John Travolta in the movie. His career was just becoming kind of it was just beginning to reemerge. You know, he's getting a resurgence in his career from Pulp Fiction, I think, a little bit, and this kind of is, I guess, the next film he did after that. He's really great in the film. I love kind of the whole storyline around. I'm reviewing the whole movie now. What am I doing? But I love the character quirk of Chili Palmer, where he gets people to look them in his eyes, and he kind of, it gives Martin Weir, Danny DeVito, kind of an acting lesson at one point, where he's like trying to get him to act like him, basically. I love the lines of the film, and it's very fun. It's a very funny film, and kind of a black comedy, I think, in a lot of ways. And what's the guy's name who is so funny in the film? Dennis Farina, I think. I think that's who it is. It should say on the back. It doesn't say on the back. Anyway, Get Shorty. Love this film. There's a much lesser sequel that was made about 10 years later called Be Cool with Uma Thurman and The Rock, which I enjoyed at the time, but definitely didn't live up to the first one. It's not an amazing film. It's definitely not like Tarantino Pulp Fiction level great, but it's super entertaining. It's cool. I like the music. Great film. Another favorite from when I was younger, and I just thought, I have to get this. I don't know why I don't already have it in my collection. And these are all, for the most part, these are like £3-4 each, so very good prices. I think Get Shorty was $2.99. This is another $2.99 comedy pickup. Me, Myself, and Irene. Really goofy Jim Carrey movie from, I think, 2000, this one. And this comes from the Oscar-winning Farrelly brothers, I believe, right? Didn't they make Green Book? Or am I completely getting that wrong? Because it just seems like the Farrelly brothers won Best Picture. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting that completely wrong. I'll leave it in for free, even if I did get it wrong. But the film itself, Me, Myself, and Irene, you got Jim Carrey playing a guy with, would you call it schizophrenia? You know, kind of... See, I reckon if this film was made in 2020, people would say it's insensitive to schizophrenics, you know? But basically, Jim Carrey's character has a really rough go of things. He's happily married, and then his wife goes off with a midget who is actually the father of his sons, and it's a black midget. So the joke is when he's there, you know, seeing his children get born, the triplets, they're all black. But he raises them as his own, and so you got it's just one. It's one of my favorite like sight gags, I think, in a film, is when he sat around, and it's kind of like the joke is that he doesn't even acknowledge the fact that they're not his biological kids. He treats them as his own, as if they were, and he doesn't really think about it. He blocks that all off in his mind. But he sat down with his 3 kids on the sofa, and they're watching TV, they're all laughing. And then it cuts to when they're older, and he's just like sandwiched in between these 3 huge black dudes all laughing, and it cracks me up every time. Because one of them is like really fat, and the other one's really bulky and muscly. So it's just like the visual difference of their size is just hilarious. And I love those 3 characters. I love his character, but he eventually snaps and becomes a completely different person. We've got Renée Zellweger in this film. There's the typical really stupid Jim Carrey stuff in it, but I really like. It's one of my favorite of his comedies, and I just love the dynamic with his sons. It's so funny and kind of charming at the same. It's kind of sweet at the same time. So we have 2. Speaking of Oscars and Oscar-winning movies in terms of Best Picture, we have 2 films here from Optimum Asia, and these are from the filmmaker Bong Joonho, who recently won Best Picture and Best Director and Best Everything Under the Sun for his film Parasite, which was incredible. And one of his films that I had seen before was $4.99 with any purchase, and it is The Host. And Maticus Tatui, an old YouTube friend, sent this to me as a gift once. I can only assume that I ended up selling it at some point, so it is what it is. And I've sent him stuff in the past that he sold, so I don't feel bad about it. But I don't remember even selling it, which is strange. But this is a really good monster movie, South Korean film. And this is like a director's commentary, so I'm wondering if it's like in Korean and subtitled. If it is, that's really cool. There's like a making of the film. I never dived into the special features, but this is a really, really good monster movie from like the mid-2000s, I think. And yeah, I really love Bong Joon-ho's films. I've seen this, I've seen Snowpiercer, Memories of Murder, pretty sure that was Bong Joon-ho, and Okja, the Netflix film, which was really good. A little flawed, but you know, a really damn good film, I thought. And the other one I picked up was his film Mother, which I've never seen. I don't know anything about it. I think they had like a promotion on Korean films around the time of the Oscars. This went down to $7.99. Definitely one that I will want to watch fairly soon because I think he's a great director. But this, it was so popular when it went to $7.99 that it was out of stock on HMV and it wasn't in stock in Cardiff. And then the next week they had a new batch of stock in, so I grabbed that while I could. I haven't seen it. If anyone's seen it, please let me know your thoughts down below. Now to try and rattle through some of these a little bit more quickly than I have so far. We have St. Vincent, which is a really, really good film. Bill Murray, what's her name? Melissa McCarthy. This is where I started to like Melissa McCarthy because she essentially plays the straight man in this film. In terms of like it being in a comedy scenario, she plays the straight woman who isn't being Melissa McCarthy, and she does a really good job in this. Naomi Watts, who I wasn't that familiar with when I first saw this, now I'm much more familiar with her, and I'm a big fan of Naomi Watts, so I'm looking forward to revisiting this. Now that I kind of have a different opinion of her, she plays a very outlandish character in this film. And I want to say that the young boy is someone who I've seen... Right, Jaden... I think this is the kid from It. I think this is the kid who plays Bill from It, Chapter 1. But Bill Murray, it's a really sweet film. I really, really enjoyed this one. I'm not going to talk about it too much, but definitely one I wanted to own and revisit. This one is a really dark movie that I've seen a couple of times, and I definitely want to watch it again. 1 Hour Photo. Robin Williams. I mean, you just look at, and I've said it so many times, I'll just say it again. Some of the best comedic actors in the world seem to just turn out to be some of the best dramatic actors in the world as well. Robin Williams, Tom Hanks, Jim Carrey, there's loads of them who, are brilliantly funny, and then they completely surprise you with a really dramatic role, and they just fucking nail it. This is a really dark film. Maybe I'm overselling it, but to me it's really dark, but so gripping and so interesting, and the character that he plays in this is so... what's his name? I feel like Parrish. Oh, that's it, Cy. It's just a straight Uncle Cy. He plays a guy who he processes photos, and he becomes I want to watch this like now. I'm just thinking about it, I want to watch it now. That's how good this film is, actually. That I just want to revisit it like tonight. I want to revisit it. I'll leave that in for triple free. I want to revisit it like as soon as possible. Now I'm just even talking about it and thinking of the things that happened. But he becomes obsessed with a family who comes in, and he's seeing their family photos, and he starts to imagine a world in which he's their Uncle Cy, and it's just like, I don't know, it's so gripping and disturbing, and he's great in it. But what really sold me on this, in terms of just getting the Blu-ray, was actually the fact that there's a commentary with the director and Robin Williams. I thought that was such a like, yoink. Yeah, I definitely want to hear that at some point. But yeah, this great film. Definitely one I want to check out very soon, actually. Yeah, really amped up about it. Yeah, it's a dark movie. Anyway, this one is a winner of 2 Academy Awards, including Best Actor for Jeff Bridges, and it's Crazy Heart. My cousin Jody recommended this to me many years ago, but I love Jeff Bridges, and so what did I see with him recently? I saw a film with him recently that we watched in the 24-hour movie marathon for 2020. I won't mention which one it is, but I really enjoyed his performance in that. And I really liked him recently also in Starman, which is another film I watch in an upcoming 24-hour movie marathon. Anyway, so I'm really becoming a fan of Jeff Bridges, and this is like one of his more recent films in 2008, 2009, and he plays a country singer, I think. Yes, a country music star's Rocky Road to Redemption. Definitely in for £3, I think. Complete change of pace here. We have a kind of classic movie from the 50s, 60s? 57. Fairly close to the 60s. And this gets referenced in Sleepless in Seattle, which I really like that film. And the far superior Meg Ryan, Tom Hanks movie is, of course, You've Got Mail. But I really like Sleepless in Seattle. I'm pretty sure they referenced this film, and that is an affair to remember. Cary Grant, who I love, but I've really only seen Cary Grant in like movies from the 30s and 40s. I haven't seen him in any of the like Hitchcock. Did he do a couple of Hitchcock films? He at least did North by Northwest, right? So like later stage Cary Grant is something I'm really interested in seeing. And it's kind of a classic movie, so yeah, definitely. That was one I was surprised to see because it was all like new movies pretty much. This one is a 2011 film that I reviewed for the Epic Film Challenge 2. And this has 90 minutes of extras, which is interesting. A lot of featurettes and deleted scenes. And it's a film I really liked, and it's by a director who I think's films are really, really good, Alexander Payne. The Descendants, starring George Clooney. It's about a father and his, I think he has two daughters. Let's see if it says on the back. He definitely has, yeah, he has two daughters. And, you know, he loses his wife, and it's kind of just about their life after that. And it's a really, really good drama that stars Robert Forster as well, who I love, rest in peace. Judy Greer, Shailene Woodley, who did the Divergent, Insurgent, Revergent films, whatever they were called. She's a really good actress, and she's very good in this as the older teenage daughter. It's a really good family drama, and definitely one I wanted to own. Being set in Hawaii doesn't hurt the thing. I love Hawaii. Movies set in Hawaii, I just love looking at Hawaii on film. So sue me. But yeah, $2.99, definitely it's a great film. And then this is one from my childhood that I saw on the shelf. I was like, holy shit, I hadn't thought about that film in years. This is an animated film that I grew up on. And oh my god, just seeing the back cover now, it's just like, I wonder how much this will hold up or not. And it is Roald Dahl's The BFG, the animated version. I haven't seen the Steven Spielberg live action, which I'd be quite intrigued to see actually, but I grew up on this film. The main memory I have of this is when he's running her the bath, and it just, I don't know, it always made me want to have a nice, steaming, hot, relaxing bath, you know, but yeah, the BFG. I barely remember anything about it, but it has such warm childhood memories for me watching it with my nan. So yeah, the BFG, absolute no-brainer to pick this up. I love Roald Dahl, and I love some of the movies associated with his books, including James and the Giant Peach. That's one I'd love to own, the stop-motion animated film. Matilda, I love Matilda. I'm trying to think if there's any others like big Roald Dahl adaptations. Of course, the classic Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, or Charlie. What did they call the original Willy Wonka? I think I have it on the shelf though. I have it on my 1001 movies shelf. 70s. Where is it? Yeah, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. So the book is Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and then they did the Gene Wilder version, called it Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. And the Charlotte. Wow, I'll leave that one in for quadruple free. Willy Wonka and the Charlotte Factory. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and then Tim Burton did a version which I think he called Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. And the final HMV sale title I picked up is Marcy, May, Marlene. This is a film starring Elizabeth Olsen, who is one of my favorite actresses. I'm trying to think when I first saw her and was impressed by her. I think it was in Silent House, maybe? Is it called Silent House? It's that horror movie that's meant to look like it's in one take, and it's just her in a house, basically. Very good horror film. Really impressed by her in that, and then she popped up in like the Avengers and stuff. But you know, just there's some really interesting stuff she's done over the past few years, and I think that the Facebook Watch show, Sorry for Your Loss, is just an amazing show. I'm gutted that they cancelled it after 2 seasons, but Elizabeth Olsen's performance in that show is one of the best performances I think I've seen in anything. And it's not a big, loud, showy, dramatic performance. It's just, it's one of the rawest and most biting and cutting and slicing like portrayals of grief I've ever seen. She's wonderful in that show, and that show in general is great. Go watch it. It's on Facebook for free. It's super high quality stuff. It is very emotional. It's about a woman who's lost her husband, a young widow basically. But you know, she's just a great actress, I think. And who would have thought it? I mean, her sisters were so famous in like the 2000s, and then she would be the one to go on to have, I think, a much more successful film career. But this is one of her early ones, 2011 again, I think. Yeah, I think Silent House and this came out in the same year, but this is like a proper dramatic film. I think it's about a cult or something. Let me just see. A gripping psychological thriller. It's after escaping from a dangerous cult. Okay, I'll read no more. I think she's the main star, so I'm definitely one I wanted to check out. So yeah. Oh, it's actually the first film she ever did. So there we go. And now I pull out another stack of films. I'm almost tempted to cut this into 3 parts, but we'll keep rolling. Okay, so 101 Films had a sale on in HMV, and you know, a lot of the cult things they release are not really to my tastes. I mean, most of them are really not to my tastes, actually. But they ran a sale maybe a year or two ago, and I was thinking, oh, there's some really good prices, like £6 a title. So I was like looking through all the films they had on sale, and I kind of like honed down to about 7 or 8 titles I thought I would be interested in checking that out. And then I just thought, you know what? I'm going to close that basket and forget about it because I don't need them. They're just like curious oddities that I might enjoy, so I just left it. But I was in HMV recently, and they had pretty much the same sale, pretty much all the same titles. So I thought, let's just grab a few of them, you know, and see what they've got. So I picked up a few, I think 4 of them at $5.99 each, which I think are pretty good prices for these releases. The first one is like a complete, like, I have no illusions to this being a good movie whatsoever. Couldn't not pick it up. It is Double Dragon. I mean, Double Dragon. I mean, look at Robert Patrick on the front cover of this movie. If it'll pick up. I mean, yeah. I really have no idea what to expect, but you know, Double Dragon is like a classic video game to me. I think my dad and my uncle used to play that a lot when I was a kid. But I have a kind of, what do I even call it? Me and my friends, me and 2 of my friends, we have this kind of ritual, this kind of thing that we do at least once a year called Sega Night. And Sega Night is basically where we just get together and play Sega games all night. It started in 2009 when, after a wrestling event, we went back to one of my friends' houses and we just played like Sonic all night. I was like, wow, it's like a Sega Night. And it's kind of like, it's morphed over the years, and now it's just like we get together, we play games and all that kind of stuff. But I thought this would be a good movie to add to a future Sega Night, to watch the Double Dragon movie that I never knew even existed. So I'm sure it'll be fun for us, but as an actual movie, it's probably not going to be very good. This one, now I want to actually kind of remind myself of, okay, yeah, so who directed this? I don't even recognize the director, but this is a film from 1983 called Nightmares. Don't know anything about it other than it's an anthology horror movie that has 4 different segments. One stars Emilio Estevez, one stars Veronica Cartwright, and the other stars Lance Henriksen. And then the other one stars Christina Rains, who I've never heard of before. But 80s movie, horror, Lance Henriksen, $5.99, I'm in. You know, I kind of enjoyed these kind of schlocky midnight movies. The one I think of is Body Bags, the John Carpenter, Tobe Hooper collaboration, the anthology film. I really enjoyed that. The format of it as a horror kind of movie is like 3 different short stories was really cool to me. So haven't seen many kind of anthology films overall, but this is one that I'll be checking out at some point soon, I think. This one is a film I would never have really expected to see in the 101 Films collection, and the more I look into the things that they've done, I can see that they don't just do cult movies and kind of horror movies. It's kind of like weird, interesting, not weird, but like, you know, just more off the radar stuff. And this one is about an ex-IRA member and former boxing champion Danny Flynn, who comes out of prison after 14 years, and I don't want to read anything more than that, but he is played by Daniel Day-Lewis, and the film is The Boxer. So again, $5.99 for a Daniel Day-Lewis movie on Blu-ray is, I think, a pretty damn good deal. There's a documentary on the making of the film, but there's not, these releases aren't really stacked with extras. But it's just, I don't know, there's something about a film like this getting a nice kind of, you know, I don't know, there's something about it, I don't know. Maybe it's the full Scanavo case. Maybe it's the red color of the case, but it just feels a bit more special. And it also stars Emily Watson, who I think is a really good actress. She always does interesting things to me. Whenever I see her acting in a film, it's always just what I wouldn't expect. And Daniel Day-Lewis, I'm still completely blind to, except for Phantom Thread. One of those weird things where it's like one of the great actors of all time, and I've only seen his last performance, so I need to fix that. This one is purely based on the actors involved. This is another 80s movie from 1985. Now, I did read the plot of this. Okay, so this is directed by John Landis as well. I love John Landis. So, and I've never heard of this film before until I saw the sale, the kind of 101 film sale. So there's a large number of cameo appearances in this film apparently. So two strangers stumble into international intrigue. I got close to the microphone. Two strangers stumble into international intrigue in the middle of a Los Angeles night. Anything can happen, and does, in this zany comedy. So Jeff Goldblum plays an insomniac with a cheating wife and a dull job. His chances of excitement look hopeless until a mysterious blonde woman named Diana drops onto the hood of his car. Now it's Ed's turn for some adventure and romance as Diana leads him on a merry and murderous chase where the payoff could be dollars or death. The outstanding cast includes David Bowie, Dan Aykroyd, and a host of Hollywood's hottest directors and cameos. It's a night on the town you'll never live down. As far as I'm aware, Michelle Pfeiffer, who plays Diana, is an alien. Maybe not, I don't know, but it is Into the Night. 80s movie, Jeff Goldblum, sign me up already. Michelle Pfeiffer, definitely sign me up. John Landis directing, David Bowie, Dan Aykroyd, and cameos. I mean, just what more could you want out of a blind buy than that? Seriously, $5.99, absolutely on board for that one. And that was actually the first one I looked for when I saw that the HMV had like the 101 film sale. I was like, where's that Jeff Goldblum film? Do they have that one? Because I really wanted that one. So this one, I don't even know why it's so cheap. It was on offer for it was the Korean film, the Korean cinema discounts they had in HMV, I guess, and it is the film Old Boy, the Arrow video release, which is a fairly new release from Arrow. They recently did a big box set of this film. They did a trilogy box set with the other films in the Vengeance trilogy. So this is like, they have there's the feature-length documentary, Old Days. But there's also a brand new 4K restoration from the original camera negative, supervised by the director Park Chan-wook. There's lots of extras. There's a few new things here and there, but a lot of it, one of them, okay, this is one that I was really like, okay, I should get this. Out of the Past, a new video appreciation by Asian film expert Tony Raines. Love Tony Raines, would love to hear him talk about this film. For the most part, like the feature-length documentary, and I think there's like a 3.5 hour long video diary of the making of the film called Autobiography of Old Boy. I think they're all present on my Plain Archive Super Duper edition that Connie got me for Christmas maybe like 4 years ago. So I don't need this film again, but the transfer is apparently like a new transfer, like 4K restoration, and it has the Tony Raines interview. I was never going to buy this at full price because of that, but seeing it for $7.99, I thought I'm going to double dip for the Tony Raines extra and the new transfer of the film as well. So yeah, that's pretty much it. But yeah, Arrow Video, Old Boy, that was one a lot of people were excited about. I wasn't too intrigued because I had the really nice Plain Archive Steelbook full slip edition, or whatever you call it. It's a nice like booklet, it's a steelbook, it's like all sorts of cool stuff. Anyway, so I thought I'd grab that. Criterion. I kind of ruined the surprise already. HMV had a Criterion sale as well, but it was a very meager sale. It was like, Criterion titles down to $9.99, and there was only 3 of them, 2 of which I already owned. So the only one I didn't was actually a film that I wanted to get, but it was never a Criterion I would pay full price for. So it's kind of perfect for me. And I just don't know what to think of what this film could even look like or be. Like, it's a film that just doesn't seem to make sense to me. It's Steve McQueen in what looks to be just like a schlocky B-movie from the 50s. It is The Blob for $9.99, the Criterion edition. I thought, what the hell? I don't know. I kind of enjoy those kind of like creature features from like the 50s. I've seen a few of them. With Steve McQueen, it just seems so weird. I guess everyone had to start somewhere, right? I don't know when Steve McQueen really became like Steve McQueen, if that makes any kind of sense. But he plays a rebel teenager. Okay, I mean, he doesn't look that. Or maybe it's like a really young Steve McQueen. I don't know. I just the Blob, like, it just doesn't seem to compute as a good film. but Criterion have released it. I don't know if you can hear my stomach rumbling there. I apologize if you could, because it probably picked it up on the microphone. But yeah, the Blob. There's not many special features on this one, but it's a 4K digital restoration, and it'll be one to throw on and see what the hell it's all about, I guess. Almost at the end now, I promise. We're getting close, and yeah. So this one is an amazing buy for me in terms of like the value for money, in terms of like how many films are in this set, but also how much this set usually goes for. There's a few variants. It's a franchise box set, and I have a few films from this particular franchise, but not all of them. And I really want all of them, but there's so many different versions, and the prices are so varying and usually very expensive. But I wasn't sure when I would ever get around to picking these up. And then I just saw it on the shelf, and it was like, I think, £12 for 8 movies, 3 of which I already own. But I thought, you know what, for the other like 5 movies, I think £12 is a really damn good price. So the box set is Planet of the Apes, the Primal Collection. So there was like, I think the Legacy Collection or something like that. In America, they had like the really cool box set that had like the first 5 movies, and then the Tim Burton movie. This is before, I think, the reboot trilogy. But it was like a nice like big book format, and I think Ryan Chataway's definitely got it, because I was looking through it when we visited him in 2014. It was a really nice like kind of gorgeous opulent box set. But there's been a few like kind of small packaged versions like this that have like, you know, like a thick case with all these discs of all the films, and they vary in terms of how many films have come out, because the new series was kind of like, you know, in flux as all these different versions are coming out. So this one came out, I guess, before War of the Planet of the Apes. So this has 8 movies. I already have the original in a nice steelbook, and I have steelbooks of the new trilogy, which are just an incredible series of films. But I really like all the sequels too. Just before Dawn of the Planet of the Apes came out, me and Connie watched the original, obviously, which we'd seen about a year or two before in one of the 24-hour movie marathons. We loved the original. So then we watched 2, 3, 4, and 5, which were Beneath the Planet of the Apes, Escape from Planet of the Apes. I'm missing one. I should just look at the titles. Beneath, no, yes, no, there's not, isn't it Beneath? Yeah, Beneath the Planet of the Apes, Escape from the Planet of the Apes, Conquest of the Planet of the Apes, and then Battle for the Planet of the Apes. And I really enjoyed all those sequels. They're very different, and I love the where they took the story. And so in here we have Blu-rays of all of them. So we start with the original. I like how they've laid this out with like the covers on each side. And then we have Beneath the Planet of the Apes, probably the weakest of the sequels to me, I think. Then we have Escape from the Planet of the Apes, which is a really interesting one. Actually, just the concept of the story alone was quite cool. Conquest of the Planet of the Apes, I really liked that one. And then finally, Battle for the Planet of the Apes, which is a really good one too. They're all so different, and I love the varied tones, even though they all seem to follow the same kind of. What can I even say about the original? There's something relevant about each of them in terms of just the themes that they're going for. You know, there's very clear kind of, I think, metaphorical themes going on in terms of the way that the apes are portrayed, and this journey of well, I don't want to spoil anything for anyone who hasn't seen these films, but yeah, I'm kind of losing myself in mumbo jumbo here, but you know, I really like the ideas presented in all of the sequels, even if they're very hit and miss, I think, at times, but the original is like a classic masterpiece, and then the sequels kind of go up and down, but they all have worth, I think. And then we also have the Tim Burton reimagining from 2001, I think that's when that one came out. And then finally there's a case that has Rise and then Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. So yeah, I think all of these have extras, if I'm not very much mistaken. You can open them up, and there's like you can take the disc out, and it kind of shows you on the inside. Yeah, there's kind of special features on all of these, and I like that you can take it out and it has all the information and the extras and the cast and the synopsis. So it's a nicely laid out set. I don't love, like, you know, just thin blue cases, but you know, for what it is, and for £12, I was really happy to get this and now kind of complete my Planet of the Apes collection. There was one that kind of had all the movies. In fact, it would be the same as this. It would be an 8-movie collection. that was a bust of Caesar's head from Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Really wanted that one, but it was just too pricey, and it went out of stock very, very quickly, so it was what it was, and that'll do for now. 3 more to go. This one I've done a completely separate video on, but I'm just throwing it in there for good measure. This is a Korean release of a real favorite of mine called Seagull Diner by the Japanese director Naoko Ogigami. Really just thrilled to have this in my collection. It was a hard to find title, and I talk all about that in the separate Mail Day video of this. So if you have any interest at all and you haven't seen that video, go check it out. But I love this film. It's a really helpful film to me. And actually, when I was doing the video on this film, I was talking about how this film really helped me at a really shit time in my life a couple of years ago. And I was saying how things are great now, and at some point they won't be great again. And I didn't realize how soon that was going to roll around, but here we are. And I feel like I'm going to have to give this one a spin sooner than later in the current climate, because things are not the best these days. Anyway, 2 more to go. Now I could really waffle on here, and it's weird because I feel like sorry, I'm gonna take a sip of water here. I feel like I owe it to my audience, which is a really wanky thing to say, as if I have an audience, but I owe it to the people who watch my videos, is probably the better way of putting it, to withhold the surprise of the movies that me and Connie watch in our 24-hour movie marathons, but also to withhold what we think of them. To me, I feel like part of the fun should be like, oh, what film are they going to watch and what they're going to think of it. That's why you watch the marathon videos, I would assume. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. But I am going to reveal here a film that we watched in the 9th 24-hour movie marathon, and I'm fully aware that the 8th one hasn't been released yet, nor has the previous one. So when you'll ever see 24-hour movie marathon 9, if ever, I don't know. But there's a film that we watched in that marathon that blew me away. We rented it on Sky, and I just we talked about it for like an hour in the marathon. I'm going to have to cut that video down so much for the marathon video, but especially now, again, when times are kind of really tough on the world, thinking about this film, it really is, it's one that makes you think. And I had to buy it, but I wanted to get like one with like the slipcover and everything if I could, and I managed to find it. And there's so many like listings for it on eBay, and all of them had like bends and kind of like scuffs and everything. But I managed to find one that was in really good condition. But just to get the film on Blu-ray was something that really appealed to me. I really wanted to own it. Really wanted to watch it again. It's a film that has a segment where the language is kind of different to how we speak. It's English, but it's kind of like a broken kind of English that's kind of evolved and devolved. And so me and Connie couldn't really understand what they were saying. I enjoyed not being able to understand what they were saying because I could kind of piece together the story just based on what they were doing and catching words that I recognized here and there. But the version on Sky didn't have any subtitles, so I wanted to get the Blu-ray to have the subtitles to fully enjoy those segments and get even more out of them. I have watched all the special features, which are very good, and I don't know, the more I think about this film, I've been listening to the score and work. I feel like this is going to become a real favorite film of mine, I think. So it is kind of spoiling that element of the marathon, but I mean, at this point, when is that ever going to get released? I'm so behind on the movie marathons. But anyway, the film is Cloud Atlas. It is by, I forget how to pronounce the guy's name. The way that it says it on the as you read it, where is his name? It doesn't even say it on the back. Wow, it doesn't even say the director's name on the back. Tom Tykwer is how it looks. But I think it's pronounced completely differently. But it's the guy who made Run Lola Run and also the Wachowski sisters. So they have such an interesting career. From Bound to the Matrix trilogy, to Jupiter Ascending, to this film. And it's just like, I think I love their vision and their scope and their ambition. And this film seems to sum that up really well. It's based on a novel, and it's set in 6 different time periods. and all of the main characters are played by the same actors. So you have Tom Hanks, you have Keith David, you have Halle Berry, you have Hugh Grant. I'm trying to think of the other actors. Jim Broadbent. There's Susan Sarandon. There's other actors who I don't know the names of, who are brilliant as well. I can't even begin to talk about this film. You'll have to wait for the marathon. But I think I said during the marathon review of it that this, maybe more than any film I've ever seen in my life, this film feels like music. There's a flow to it that feels so like music. There's these crescendos and dips and lulls and explosions, and it never feels like it's a film that shouldn't work. And many people feel like it doesn't work. I think Mark Kermode called this an admirable failure on every level. You know, critics were completely divided on it. I think moviegoers are completely divided on it. And it's a film that I avoided because when it came out, it got shit reviews, and it's nearly 3 hours long. It's like, why would I want to, waste 3 hours of my life on a film that everyone says is terrible? What a mistake that was, because I've been depriving myself for 7-8 years of an amazing film, and it's just, I feel like it's going to be rewarding every single time. It's so multifaceted. There's so many layers to it. Watching the behind the scenes and then pointing out the way that certain things link, it's like, holy shit, like things you wouldn't have noticed before. I love this film. I absolutely love Cloud Atlas, and it's a nice it's a really cool slipcover too. It's got like a nice shiny effect to it. So I'm just beyond thrilled to get this in my collection. And the final Blu-ray is very much in line with that. It's another Wachowski's film that I haven't seen, and it is Speed Racer. Similarly, I got this from eBay. It's sealed with a slipcover. And this stars, what's his name? Emil Hirsch, Christina Ricci, Susan Sarandon. Very good cast, and it's based on the manga or anime. I'm not sure which one. Maybe both. I don't know. But the idea of the Wachowskis doing like a kind of based on a manga / anime, movie seems really interesting to me. People say this film is visually incredible. We watched the trailer, and Connie was like, in no uncertain terms, I never want to watch that film. So I'll be watching this one on my own. Some of the special effects don't look great. I don't know if it's meant to be stylized, but I just thought I want to see every film they've done. I really became reinvigorated by their work as directors and as visual storytellers. So Speed Racer was one that I thought, I'm going to pick that up and check it out as well. There we go. That is it. Holy shit. I don't know if I edit any of these down, but the past 2 Blu-ray update videos I've just done are like 45 minutes each on terms of how much I've filmed. So that's like an hour and a half of talking about Blu-rays. I guess that's what I get for waiting so long to do it, but I had a lot to say, I guess. And my voice is just dripping away at this point. Dripping away. It's a weird way to put it. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. If you haven't seen part 1, go check that one out. If you've seen both parts, holy shit. Thank you for watching, and sorry. Let me know what you guys have been picking up recently before all this madness went down, and how you're coping, all that kind of stuff. I wish you all the best. I'll be continuing to making videos, of course, but yeah, it's... through all of this, it's at least been nice to see some sense of community form through the hardships that we're going through at the moment. But yeah, it's scary times. And now more than ever, I think we need entertainment to distract us. Otherwise, we'll just go insane. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. And I will see you once again, mercifully, in the next video. See ya.
He's alright by me. Apart from the fact he throws cans of Carlin into a tree. Yeah, he's really cool. Yeah, he's really cool. But he's not quite as cool as you.